The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to Success Secrets Exposed with Sally A. Curtis, where we share stories of challenge, success, and inspiration along with practical tips and strategies to move you forward to your success. And now, here's your host, Sally A. Curtis.
Good evening, good morning, and good day to you all, and welcome to another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. I'm very, very excited to be able to share our guest with you today. Today's topic is going to be called The Thirst Within. So for those that are actually new to the show, a little bit of background on me. Firstly, I'm a marketing strategist for speakers, coaches, and consultants, specializing in content repurposing, which is the gift of turning existing content and collateral into new profits, into bite-sized chunks that help my clients amplify their voice, their message, and their impact. And today, our guest, Shane, is also somebody that creates dramatic impacts for his clients. He's an initiated shaman. He's a two-time best-selling author, a mentor, a spiritual teacher, and very, very much a thought leader. His work is about helping people transition into their empowerment and believes that every person should be free to fulfill their unique and amazing purpose. He works both in the public and the corporate market and has bridged that gap beautifully by applying sacred shamanic teachings, as well as delivering intuitive insights and that energetic edge that delivers personal empowerment and incredible results for the clients that he works with. He's absolutely renowned for delivering results where others have simply failed. So can you please help me welcome to the show, Shane McLeay.
Hello, Sally.
Good morning to you, as it's morning here in Australia, and good evening to those folks in US.
Thank you.
Super excited to be able to be sharing your incredible wisdoms with the audience today. And I know that you do have a very, very diverse background, but I'm not going to be the spoiler with the spoiler alert today. I'd love you to share with us a little bit about your background as it relates to the journey to where you are now, if you could, please.
Wow. Okay.
I know, big, deep question to start with.
Well, firstly, I truly believe that we live in a universe that is full of unlimited potential, and that we too are part of that unlimited potential. So there are no limits. I do come from a shamanic perspective. I find those values and principles resonate very deeply with me, which is a big contrast to my past. I have a diploma in theology, and I was actually a pastor in the Assemblies of God many, many years ago. I went on to build and develop my own successful businesses as well. I worked 10 years in television, in marketing, and look, the journey has taken me through amazing experiences. I even did a 1-year sabbatical out of my marketing career to work in the funeral industry because it was something I always wanted to do.
Yes.
The common thread through all of that is me following my inner values and being in tune with those and pushing towards living my best life. That's been my focus, with the responsibility of being a good citizen on the planet and giving back to the common good. So that's the journey, and I mean it's in a nutshell. But
that's beautiful. Thank you. I did want to ask, because around the being the funeral director, because that's an area, interestingly enough, I don't know whether it's us in the marketing blood or the people blood or whatever, but it's been an area that's actually fascinated me at different times. So what was the prompt for you, just out of curiosity, to do that 12 months in that arena? What was the additional add to the quest that you're on?
I think I'd always had a fascination. I mean, I come from a very spiritual place, as we all do. But for me, I was very aware of that. And the whole death, dying, and what's next has always been one of my deepest fascinations. So to be involved in that process was something that I really wanted to dive into. And I considered it as a career in my early 20s, but other things came up. And anyway, while I was working in television, one of my clients came to me and said, "We would love you in our business." The role was business development manager. They were expanding the business and they wanted me to come in that capacity. And I thought, well, this is something I've always wanted to do. So I said, "Look, I'll do this, but I want to do every aspect of the funeral director's role so that I can better understand the industry and how to grow it from there." So I went in with the idea that I could make a difference in people's lives in their greatest moment of need, and to the education of my of my higher self, I learned that I couldn't deliver that, because all people wanted were their loved ones back, and I couldn't do that. What I could do is help them say goodbye in the most honoring way. So it was a good 12 months, and I learned more in that year, I think, than I have in any other 10-year block of my life. So.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's it's been an interesting. When I saw it as part of the writing and your bio, it was like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. So thank you for sharing that. And I imagine that there was going to be great learnings as a result of that, which sort of doesn't surprise me. So that's been good. So also talk to us a little bit about I think what I've noticed in conversing with you, and certainly reading your books and sort of delving into the background and doing the research that I do, you've really bridged that gap of taking the energetic shifts, etc., that's going on into the corporate marketplace. Now, you've been doing that for a very long time, and obviously right at the moment there's so much change and disruption and curiosity about, what am I on this planet for? What is my purpose? So what have you been really noticing? Because I imagine you're sort of getting it happening from all different sides because of the shifts that's going on in the global perspective at the moment.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, you're going to be deep today.
I guess there's two parts to your question.
Yeah.
The first part is bridging that gap between say, the energetic world and the corporate world. Well, I think it's important to acknowledge that from my perspective, as I said in the introduction, we live in an energetic universe. There are things taking place all around us all the time that we can't always explain. We've had religion and science, which I believe are actually merging together now like never before, and that's the best thing for humanity. So there's an acknowledgement from science and religion that there are things beyond our understanding that we just don't know. But what I do know is that we all come from a place of being connected to that, whether we realize or understand it or not. So bridging that gap is really easy from my perspective when I look at everybody in that scenario. Everybody's got their own story, their own battle, their own triumphs, and they're all just trying to do the best that they possibly can. They have their own hopes, dreams, and aspirations. And, we all do the best that we can. And we make the decisions that we make based on what we know at the time. And it's a journey. And so coming at it from that perspective and being, I guess, very empathetic and compassionate around that, and acknowledging, truth and understanding that what you focus on and what guides you is what empowers you. So being able to have those conversations in the corporate space. Now, okay, I'm an initiated shaman, so I come from a very different perspective, but I also having a marketing background and I think I'm a pretty good communicator. Being able to communicate those things in a way and in a language that people can respond and relate to, I think is the key. And that is marketing 101.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. And I think that is the thing you've touched on there. It's the relevance, and my term would be the everyday language. But I think we get so caught up on clever language or marketing language, or that's what I think I need to say because somebody else has said it, language, that we actually forget that it's all about what is relevant to them and what their language is, them being the client, etc. Now, one of the things that I was when I was reading in your book, which really resonated with me, especially as it relates to the world and that the world's feeling fatigued, and adding on to what you've actually said around that relevance piece and that marketing 101, is that I think there's been a lot of people, and I see myself, particularly as we're following the gurus. I know we were talking about, listening to gurus is now over. And there's that element of, that the guru-ship shift occurring. But we've also actually forgotten that our clients are actually people.
Yep. And which my marketing book's called Heart Marketing, because I wanted to acknowledge that if you want to engage with somebody, there it is.
Yeah, there we are.
If you want to engage with somebody, do it at a heart level. I remember one of my mentors, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, said to me, the sweetest sound anybody can hear is their own name. And I think, if you want to go back from there and build all of your marketing or all of your communication on that very point alone, marketing becomes a very personalized thing. And trying to, in television land, dealing with clients who wanted to have their message reach everybody and trying to tell them that was an impossible task. There are so many misconcepts and there are so many outdated concepts that people are still trying to grasp. Today, we are in a new age, and we're in a new age of understanding, a new age of doing things. Yeah. Which is the second part of your original question about the world and the change. Well, we have shifted into new energies, and that's a little bit woo-hoo for some people. But look around, take note. Things are shifting. Things are changing, and as we all know, in times of constant change, it's the learners who inherit the future. So nice. If you want to engage with people, treat the people as an individual, understand them, know who they are. Look at Victoria's Secret. They have a whole profile on a fictitious character called Vicky, and all of their marketing is to Vicky, because they know that in the 8 or 7.5 billion people on the planet, there are people just like Vicky out there.
Vicky, yeah.
So they put a name and a personality to their marketing strategy. Some people call that an avatar, but avatar is a little bit cliche. I prefer to make it about a person. If you want to engage with a person, know who they are.
And I think you've energetically, I've just felt that when you talk about an avatar, you're sort of almost talking about something that's out there. It's fictitious again. Whereas when you've got the person's name, it becomes that family member. It's got a different feeling to it, which is very relevant as well. As it relates to that, understanding your target market and going through the significant changes that we have been going through. Some of the questions as we've gone through the pandemic that I've seen, or the trending questions, was, what people asking my God, this, what is my purpose? That became a question that was becoming more paramount for a lot of people. I don't like this. I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. What should I be doing? What is my purpose? And now we're seeing in the States, the Great Resignation, etc. So let's have a talk about purpose as it relates to the thirst within, the thing that really gets you excited and juiced up. And, share us with us what you're seeing trending, because I can imagine what you're seeing.
Okay. Well, the Nork University in Chicago this year surveyed, a sample of the American population, and they discovered that 14% of Americans today are happy.
Wow.
That is tragic. That is absolutely tragic. And if you wanted to transplant those findings into Australia, Canada, or any other Western country, I'm pretty sure you would find a similar result. Now, my feelings and thoughts on this, based on years of working with people at this level in relation to them finding fulfillment and purpose within their lives, is that the biggest problem is people, firstly, all of us at some point come from a place of wounding.
Yeah.
So we are all in that space. Secondly, the majority of people do not believe that they're worthy of good things. So then people begin to self-sabotage, and the whole thing goes on. And the biggest thing apart from that is that people chase what's external to them for fulfillment. So whatever you're chasing blue and bright shiny things and jet skis and big mansions and shiny BMWs, you're going to be empty in here. And there's nothing wrong with those things when they are in alignment with your purpose and your values. So finding your purpose, you need to go in here and find out who you truly are. That is the first thing. That's foundational to building a business empire. It's foundational to creating a community. It's foundational to a good family. It's foundational to everything. Until you know who you are, and until you know what your values are, and have a good grasp on that, you're just wandering through life. A lot of people say to me, this opportunity's come my way and I've got this great idea. And my response to those people is, does it align with your values? And is it in sync with your purpose and vision? Because if it's not, it's just a distraction.
Yeah. And,
so
don't we love those?
Yeah, we do, because it makes us feel busy. It makes us, if we actually succeed in that thing that's come, that distraction, and we actually start to make progress, we feel successful. But is it taking you away from your purpose, or even discovering what your purpose is? For 2,000 years, religion has taught us that, we need to look outside of ourselves for the answers, that we need an external savior, not to look in here.
Yeah. And I think that's the looking within, when it even comes to the concepts of with your heart marketing, and the concepts of understanding somebody else. You actually have to understand yourself first.
Yeah.
To be able to create the progress and impacts. Sorry, keep going. You just had an insight there. I'll let you continue.
No, you're right. I think too, the other thing is the expectation, the external expectation that other people place on you and me, on how they think we should be living, and on in what direction they think we should be going. And a lot of people give into that because it's really bullying in a lot of respects. Somebody. So when you start walking in your purpose and living in your purpose, you tend to make those that aren't doing that very uncomfortable. And what they want to do to make themselves feel better about their miserable existence is pull you back down into their pit of misery.
Yeah.
We call it in Australia, Sally, as you know, tall poppy syndrome.
Yep. Yeah. Very much so. I think too, with that, the scenario where you're on I use the term quest, you found you're searching for your quest, or the thing that's driving you in your purpose, and that we do live as it relates to other people's expectations. I've got in my notes, I've got a big expectations in capital letters, because I wanted to dig into this with you, because I do think we do get tied in to other people's expectations. I need to have X job. I remember having conversations with previous partners that was going, that's it, I've had enough. I'm not doing this whole employment thing. I did the self-employment, little bit of employment. Let's do more employment. And I did that dive in, dive out. And then I just had this stuff at moment, and I just wrote, that's it. And the level of, oh my God, panic, because it was the step was that leap of faith. It was unknown, but I trusted it. But the other people around me, I got the, oh my God, you can't believe you're giving up such a good job. I can't believe that what about your security? What about your family? But that was such a good company, and all those things. Oh, you're laughing now, so please elaborate.
No, I've been there. I know exactly what you mean. I walked out of a great corporate job with the biggest electronic digital marketing company in the Southern Hemisphere. Yeah. I walked out of that because it conflicted with my values. I didn't want to be part of the media machine anymore. It really conflicted with my values, and I knew I could do more. And so I left with no business plan, just a knowing within me, and knowing that if I followed my values and followed my passion, everything would unfold. And within I will say 6 weeks of doing that, I was at capacity. I could not handle another client, and I have been at capacity ever since. So I have a bit of a waiting list with clients, but that's okay. Yeah. We work towards those timelines. But you know what? The biggest thing at the moment in the world is people just have to back themselves. And you can do that in a much greater capacity when you know who you are, when you really know who you are, and you really understand what your purpose is. Now, one of the things I notice working with people in this space is that a lot of people get hung up on their purpose. Now, your purpose isn't etched in stone. It's very fluid, and it's allowed to change. But your mission, on the other hand, is etched in stone. And your mission should be, I guess, your guiding star. It's because when you know where you're going, it's easy to get there. Your purpose are the destinations on the way to fulfilling your mission. So, we need to be fluid. We need to allow ourselves or give ourselves permission to explore within the realms of our values and who we are. We need to be able to experience life, because that's why we're here. It's not about stuff. Everything that's external to us is just stuff. Yeah. The real value comes in the integrity you have in your life, the values that you hold dear to, and the relationships that you have with those around you that really matter. They're the good things in life. Everything else is a bonus. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question in there as well? Because I think there's a tie-in. I'm feeling a tie-in for myself, and I imagine many of the listeners are as well. And this is going to tie in with around that expectation. So we've had all this big change. People are asking, what is my purpose? And now we've got the expectations that we have to nail our purpose, and that we move out of the fluidity of that, and we move into the rigidness of, I've got to do this. And straight away I've gone from being relaxed to like this, because we're in force instead of flow. So can you talk us through some of the, maybe some examples where you've seen that, and how people can overcome that rigidness of purpose to find their flow within that, and sort of find the balance of understanding who they are and what they're here to do?
Yes. The seventh principle in shamanism is that effectiveness is the measure of truth. So when you look at your life and what's unfolding, when you're saying or doing something and there's no evidence there to support it, it's not truth. You're kind of kidding yourself. And when you can be real and honest and raw with yourself and admit that, and acknowledge that you're actually pushing in the wrong direction. And if you're pushing, that's not flow. So where there's resistance, that's not flow. And this is coming from a another perspective. Now, I know there's those corporate people out there that go, come on, we've got to do this, push, you know, we're going to set the world on fire. Well, setting the world on fire doesn't achieve much. Being in flow does. So it's a mindset thing. And the big thing is, you know, it was the Apostle Paul who said, bring every thought into captivity and make it accountable. That's my version. That's my paraphrased version of that. So getting your headspace right, understanding the programming, understanding why you think what you think is key to freeing your mind and allowing yourself to be in flow. You have 5 seconds when somebody asks you a question and gives you an opportunity, or they provide you with an opportunity to do something. You have approximately 5 seconds where you've got the little wheel spinning like on the computer screen of free thinking where you can respond from an intuitive perspective before your program kicks in and goes, no, sorry, that's too dangerous, or no, that's too much risk, or no, that's just not convenient. So it's understanding that, creating hacks within your mind that can press a pause button on that and come from a place of intuition and listen to your soul. So if you want to be in flow, flow is the place where doors open effortlessly. Flow is the place where you don't need to push your way into anything. And we've all been in flow, and we all know what it feels like to go, oh my God, all these things just happened. It was amazing. It's like a miracle. Well, that's flow. And it's a very real place to be day in and day out. And it's not complicated. It's not hard. It's just all about letting go and understanding who you really are in this amazing universe that we're all living in.
And I think also too with that, we have always all been in that zone where we've lost time and we've been enjoying in total bliss and enjoyment, and we lose time. And there's that effortless flow, as you said. There's all those serendipitous moments, and when you look back, you go, oh my God, that happened and that happened and that happened, which is that extreme flow. But we're so used to, programmed, expect is the expectations thing again, that we expect them almost to be fleeting. So therefore they are. Yeah. So and that's where that about imbalance is again, isn't it?
Yeah. The third principle of shamanism is energy flows where attention goes. The first principle is the world is as you see it. So we have the ability to tap into things that we've been, I wouldn't say we've been told we can't, but we just don't believe that they're there, or we're not aware of them. There are things in this living energetic universe that can serve us and serve us really well if we know how and if we know the way. Yeah. So energy flows where attention goes. Absolutely. You know, people talk about the law of attraction, like attracts like. It's all there. We've all experienced it. Everything in our lives is the direct result of our focus and intentions, whether we're aware of it or not.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I'm just having a look at my questions. I'm going to come back to this because we've sort of talked around this. In one of the chapters in your book, there was a statement that really hit me to the point that I've got a great big pencil circle around it and highlight across it. And that was, the world is looking for unique and amazing. It's looking for you.
The world doesn't need another Elvis. The world doesn't need another, I don't know, whoever, me, you. What we bring as an individual is completely and purely unique. Now, my heart breaks when I see young girls, young guys, people of any age looking in the mirror and feeling completely inadequate because they don't fit the mold that society has. I'm like, you know, it's rubbish, and people buy into this and people invest into it. You are a sovereign being, you know, you are one of a kind. That in itself is a miracle. So being your authentic self and delivering who you are to the world, to the market, to your community, to whatever, that's where the power is, because nobody wants another cookie cutter version of somebody else trying to be somebody else. Nobody wants, I mean, I love Elvis, right? And I use Elvis as the example. There are a couple of good Elvis impersonators out there. Most of them are terrible. And it does my head in. It's like, if you really want to pursue music and you've got a passion for Elvis's music, put your own flavor on it. Do it yourself. Let him inspire you. Don't try and be him. I mean, you might be trying to keep the legacy alive, but man, follow your own truth. Be in your own flow. Respond to what is coming into your space and be inspired by that, and be you. Be your authentic self.
Brilliant. Thank you. And some of the other words that you used as it relates, and this may be a little bit more marketing skewed, but I think it's individual skewed as well, was the word substance as it tied into the intent in being intentional. So finding I've just seen that drop, so I'll let you go from there.
Well, substance is, what is your substance? If you don't know what your substance is, you need to find out. If you don't know who you are, what's driving you, what you're really about, if I were to say to you, if I met you at a barbecue or an event, Sally, I said, "Hi, Sally, tell me about yourself." Most people would say, "Well, I do this for a job. I'm married to this person. I've got 3 children, and I like bushwalking, or I like long walks on the beach." You told me nothing about you, but everything about the external. And I know that's a little bit of social conditioning, but who are we? Like, what is driving you? Where are you coming from? That's what, if you're in business, if you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to pitch something, if you're trying to build a community, a brand, people need to know, where are you? What's your substance?
What's at the heart of you? Why do you do what you do? Yeah, brilliant.
And if you're wanting to break ground in communicating with your brand, your product, your business, you come from that place and be authentic around it, you will inspire and engage with people, because they don't want to see somebody else trying to be somebody else. They want to see you and what you have to offer.
Which I think ties into the whole, the gurus, listening to the guru at the front of the room is over, because people are starting to see the truth behind that. People running to the back of the room, and then running off into the sunset with all of your cash with no deliverables. Don't get me started on that. I've been entrenched in that arena for very, very many years previously. But I also think around that there's that real shift where people are now going, "Oh, I've just had a hinky feeling." So that intuitiveness is actually coming through for people, and they're actually experiencing more moments of it. They might not yet understand it enough or accept it enough, but I think that something's not right feeling in us is awakened. Would I be right in saying something like that?
Absolutely. Look, you've got to listen. You've got to listen to your heart. We've got to get out of this place, and you've got to get out of the head and into the heart, because the heart is, the domain of the soul. The head, the brain, is just a computer that helps us stay alive and make logical decisions and arrive at outcomes. So be guided by your heart. That's what I say. Now, just to talk about this guru thing, I'm not an astrologer, okay? I am not an astrologer, and I'm not into tabloid astrology, but I do acknowledge the ancient art and skill of reading the astrological world and what that means. And there's a lot of talk around the age of Aquarius, and I'm probably responsible for a bit of that. We truly are, the world's been turned on its head. We all know that. We can't deny that. There are things unfolding that none of us would have ever imagined in our own lifetimes. Look what's happening in Australia at the moment. It's beyond belief. But what's happening is we're moving out of this old age of Pisces structure, where it was all about control and gurus and rigid belief and masculine energy, and we're moving into this beautiful age of humanity called the Golden Age, which has been promised prophesied for thousands of years from cultures right across the globe, and it's called the Age of Aquarius. And in the Age of Aquarius, it's all about giving the power back to the people. It's about, there's no gurus. We're sharing our knowledge. We're sharing in the abundance of all the. It's not utopia, but it's closer than we've probably ever been. And so what we're seeing at the moment in the world is we're seeing a lot of these old power structures, religions, governments, education systems collapsing. And it's happening in a relatively peaceful way.
Yeah.
We're not at war with anybody. This is all unfolding, and I think this comes back to understanding the energy of the times. And if we look and we're honest with ourselves and we get rid of our conditioning and programming and look at it with an open mind and an open heart, we can say, yep, that has some real valid points. So yeah, Age of the Guru is gone. It's dusted. We're now in this new space where everybody can be empowered if they choose to
be. I think you've touched on something else there for me, and I'm going to come back to the empowerment, but I've noticed in my own world in the last probably, I don't know, 12, probably not quite 12 months, there's a lot more conversation around collaboration. And when you said shared knowledge, I went, oh my God, that's so true, because people are sharing knowledge. Obviously, there's lots of knowledge on the internet, and we can find so many free resources. But I mean more than that, people are actually having those heart-to-heart conversations. They're actually sharing the vulnerable stories and sharing the insights around that. So there's more of that humanity, collaboration of humanity, and the sharing of knowledge in that way.
I think too, what's happening at the moment is a lot of people had invested a lot of energy and resources into things that, one, may no longer even exist, or two, have a very short future now, or very short use by date. So people are actually starting to look within and say there has to be more than all of this. So I know from my own personal experience that collaboration for me has never been as big in what I do as what it is today. And that, again, that's happened in the last probably 3, 4, 5 months for me. It's the energy of the time. It's this willingness to help each other. It's willingness to all move forward together and create. We've all been told we've got to create the new normal, or there is a new normal. I say let's take ownership over that, and let's collectively create that together for the betterment of all humans.
Yeah, love that, collectively.
That's our opportunity right now in all of this chaos.
And how would you suggest people look to be able to do more of that if they're listening to the episode today or to the podcast after? As it relates to, because this ties into the empowerment, which is everything that you want for people. How do they start to become more aware? How do they start to listen to themselves a little bit more? What are some of the key things that they can perhaps start to percolate on or reflect on?
Percolate is a great word. Probably the fact that I've only had 2 coffees today, but I think percolate really is the word. It's about being intentional about, I need to know what's in here. So go take 10 minutes, meditate. Now, meditation isn't sitting with your legs behind, with your ankles behind your neck in some kind of weird position in orange robes with beads on. Meditating is being still and waiting for this to speak to you. Most people struggle with that. 5 minutes, most people can't be silent for 5 minutes. But if you can do it for 3, then the next day you can do it for 5 minutes. And then maybe the week later you can do it for 10 minutes. And the empowerment that comes from that practice. Now, for me, that's a daily practice. I have rituals that I do every day because I understand the power of rituals. My greatest priority, other than being thankful and having gratitude for everything, as soon as I open my eyes, as part of my ritual, is to go and meditate go deeply within here and listen and be still, because
Mm.
that will be your greatest source of strength and power.
Yeah. I'll just share with this. I've been meditating off and on for a while. Haven't always found it easy. It's a struggle because my head's busy and I'm very, very fast powered. And I've always listened with the earphones in. So it's been just a listening exercise for me when I've been listening to guided meditations or my own mantras that I'm saying in a recorded manner. But somebody, again, serendipitously sends something to you and it absolutely hits you between the eyes and it resonates really well with you. One of my girlfriends shared with me the most exquisite video that had beautiful movement and like a kaleidoscope. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Those it's just beautiful. But the other than the music behind it, actually has flames flickering and burning. So I'm actually very visually driven, and I have actually found that it's only a little 8-minute one, but that's like my pre-game to the real game. So that's actually what helps me drop down, because I've got something that I can visually focus and listen to. And that's been, I suppose, if we call it a hack, that's been a little tiny hack that's actually improved my ability to be able to meditate and be quiet for the half an hour, 45 minutes that I do.
And that's what you have to do, Sally. It's finding what works for you, because what works for me is going to work for somebody else. And it's about, again, being intentional, focusing your thoughts and intentions. I mean, if you're in the corporate world or you're in business and you want an edge over your competitors, know who you are. Know what drives you. Know what guides you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be led by vision. Vision inspires passion. So be passionate. I mean, your competitors are probably chasing numbers on a screen. That's unsustainable. It's shallow, and it's going to end in, maybe a business with some money in the bank, but nothing at this level. So if you want to be competitive and you want to be ahead of your competitors, go in here and focus and come from a place of love and peace. Pursue equality, pursue all the things that resonate with your values. And then you don't even need to worry about what your competitors are doing.
Just do your thing. So I'm going to ask you now, there was a fabulous story that you shared as it relates to it was one client, but ended up becoming 2 clients. And that was the client that had the garden centre business. Can you share a little bit of their story? Because obviously, I won't be a spoiler. It's going to go into spoiler alert there. I won't.
Yeah, there's quite a few stories out of that one, so I hope I get the right one. The long story short there would be that I had some clients. These clients have been my clients for 5 years now, so we're obviously doing something right.
Yeah.
They were in a business. They had a national business here in Australia in multiple states, and they acquired another business. And this business was purchased before I started working with them. And for them, it seemed to fit within where they were heading and where they saw the future. But it was such a distraction to them. So going back to what I said earlier, really. So what happened was I turned up there one day and things weren't good. They were really agitated about, how things were. And I said, just sell it. Just sell it. It's been a distraction. It's not your focus. It's every reason on earth is why you should get out of it. Anyway, they sold it. And so the new owners became my clients as well. And they're now also very successful. So, when you're coming from that place of truth and providing value and being authentic and just being real, you are seeding opportunity and possibility all around you. So, when you come from a place of integrity and we're aligned with your values, good things follow. You don't need to push. This is again about being in flow. It's it's being led from here, it's being guided, and it's responding to that, not reacting to things. It's about responding. So good things come from those little things that we do just by being in flow.
Success seeds.
Mm.
Yeah, that was exactly what I wanted you to share. So thank you. I think for me, it was when I read that story of how where they were, and we talked about that as it related to it's that distraction. It's a really good idea. It makes logical sense because of this, and we can stack our evidence. I'm really good at stacking evidence, and it's right for all of the right reasons. But then you get into it and something's not quite right. That hinky feeling comes up and there's no flow and all the rest of it. So it then becomes, its label changes as a good idea to a distraction. And being bold enough and to see the truth enough to be able to actually sell it and then see things do this, the magic.
Yeah, it is. And it's so achievable for everybody. Like, we've all been guilty of it. I've been guilty. I mean, I'm the person that used to be, something blue and something shiny, and I would be chasing it off into the horizon, into the sunset. But, time teaches us. And when we're prepared to learn and when we remain teachable, you will learn and grow. And when you remain in flow, which is the best place to be, things just happen.
Absolutely, the serendipitous kicks in. So as a bit of a wind up, as we've just got sort of 4 minutes or so left, your success tip at the time was manage and measure your expectations. And I know we've talked a little bit around that. Is there anything else that you want to add in to make sure we've covered everything off for people to enable themselves to find their own empowering journey?
I think given what's going on in the world today, my advice to anybody, and I had this conversation with my own daughter who's only just turned 18 and leaving school and embarking on life, is that, don't give in to fear. Don't, what you fear owns you, and what you invite in will make itself at home. So be really, really intentional about what you're going to focus on and where you're going to be. Be really intentional about seeking to be in flow, understanding who you really are, and be guided by your vision and your values. Because when those two things are guiding you, you really can't go astray.
Yeah, and that comes back to the focus thing. That's beautiful. Thank you. My son's just turned 18 too, so that was perfectly timed. Thank you very much for the universe for timing that one for me as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I do want to make sure that everyone has seen the website URL going across the screen so they can make and connect with Shane on social media, predominantly on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Of course, we connected on LinkedIn, but the website, sorry, did you?
Oh, no, I was going to say we did connect on LinkedIn, and it's all about that community.
Yeah, very much so. So the website's www.shamclay.com. EAY. Thank you. So I'll just repeat that. SHANEMCLEAY.
.com.
Yeah, got it. .com. Beautiful. Thank you.
Which my website, you talk about procrastinating and being distracted. My website has been long overdue for an overhaul. So in the next couple of weeks, it will all be really sparkly and new.
Beautiful. So there you go. Something to look out and something to excite the audience to be able to check it out now and then see the new vision and the new version of that website very, very soon. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your wisdom with us today. It was an absolute pleasure. Lots of fabulous insights.
Thanks, Sally. I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much. And make sure you do connect with Shane on social media and follow him. There's lots of wisdoms and lots of sharing that goes on across the communities. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Success Secrets Exposed. Take care.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. I trust you got some inspirational tips to move you forward. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for more Success Secrets Exposed.